Mark, a pleasing performance this afternoon and a reasonable result.
Yeah, I think the performance in particular is, I'm looking at that and I'm looking at it as a benchmark, of what we should expect and what everyone should expect from this group of players. I think we had all the experience back, obviously, in Hamill, Lasley and McManus, and I think that made a huge difference. The result was all right, but we probably should have won the game given the number of chances that we created. So that was disappointing, and I don't think we should be satisfied just because it's Hearts or just because they're up the league that we get a point and we go home happy. I think we should be disappointed we didn't win the game. But in saying that, both sets of players had to cope with horrendous conditions, and they did it really, really well. They produced a really competitive and a really entertaining game. So overall, yeah, satisfied.
There's also an element to the performance where there's a lot more physicality about the performance. You mentioned earlier the experienced players come back. Did that help bring that physicality to the game as well?
Yeah, I think so. Those players are players that can encourage the others into that sort of performance and demand it out of others. So we needed that against a very powerful Hearts team, a very physical Hearts team.
The two goal scorers, you must be pleased for them. Louis Moult, that's his eighth of the season. He's looking as if he's settled into this team, no bother, and working well under yourself.
I'm a big fan of Lewis. I think he's got a eye for goal, but his work ethic's terrific. His team spirit, the way he works for the team's great. He's a good player. He gets himself between the defender and the ball, and he keeps the ball for us. He works the channels. He's got a bit of everything. Wins a few in the air. I think he's a really good player, and I'm really pleased to have him here.
The other goal scorer, Marvin Johnson, obviously he played well today up against Scotland under-20 Callum Patterson. So you must have also been pleased with getting Marvin more involved in the game. Yeah,
I think we deliberately set out to try and get the ball to Marvin, by starting the ball on the right hand side and getting it to him. But I said to some of the sponsors before the game, if Marvin played the way he had trained, then he would be the man of the match, and I think he was. I thought he was fantastic, and I've seen that since I got here. I see a player that really excites me and really can be a great player.
You also mentioned that it's a benchmark. Looking back at last week, obviously you're disappointed with the performance. You're looking Thistle next week. You'll be looking for a performance more like this afternoon's.
I think every week we're looking for a performance more like this afternoon's. But I think there was things different about today, apart from the performance, and namely the personnel. I think that Kieran Kennedy needs Steve McManus alongside him to produce the performance that he produced. He made one mistake. The boy could have really capitulated. Then he didn't. He steeled himself and he came on to do well. I think he got himself out of it really by his performance in the second half in particular.
Yeah, you mentioned at the second half, Tyler, that there was a bit of an onslaught in the last 15 minutes, and the boys stood up well to that in the end. You must have been pleased with that too.
I don't think it was an onslaught. They had a few corners. They stuck a few in the box. But I was content that we still might nick the winner on the counter. But up until that point, I think we had produced probably 10 times as many chances as they had. So that's going to happen. But I can't even remember the last 50 minutes has been an important part in my mind of the performance. The main part of the performance I'm going home with is the part of the game that we should have won the game in. But even then, we still defended well. So it was fine. Overall, it was fine.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.